G'day guys and welcome back. Seeing as it's New Year's Eve, hopefully there's still a few of you tuning in before you head out for your New Year's celebrations and a couple frothies. Today we are diving into something super special, our top 5 reptile rescues of 2024. This year we have rescued, rehabilitated and released countless reptiles. Snakes, goannas, dragons, skinks, and the list goes on. These rescues make a real difference to our wildlife in need. So whether you're a seasoned newbies wildlife watcher or a newcomer, make sure you stick around as you won't want to miss this one. Now before we get started today, I wanted to share something with you I keep hidden from most and do my absolute best to mask on the channel. The past 2 years have been the hardest 2 years I've had to endure in my 29 years of life. My life has been flipped upside down, turned around and spat back out. There's been loss, uncertainty and countless times where I felt I can no longer move forward. Now this is not a call for sympathy but a thank you. A thank you to you. A thank you to anyone who tunes in weekly waiting for that Tuesday upload. And thank you to anyone I've inspired in even the slightest way to help spread, share and show love, passion and care to our native Australian wildlife. Just yesterday, I had a local young fella come up to me and told me how much he loved watching the channel. So a big shout out to Flynn. He told me he watches every week, so shout out, buddy. I've also had multiple people reach out over socials asking and wanting to know more about how they can get involved in wildlife and reptile rescue and help these beautiful animals. You guys have no idea how much these small acts mean to me. If I can inspire just one person to save or help an animal's life, then I have made a positive impact. Without the support of everyone here and spending time with our beautiful Australian wildlife, I honestly don't know where I'd be. I've also got Crashy too, just over there. Don't we, bud? I'm so incredibly grateful to have each and every one of you tuning in. I thank you for your loyal support each week, which helps me navigate through these tough times while I help the animals through theirs. Now, back to the fluffy, happy stuff, or should I say scaly stuff. Don't forget to hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And let's get stuck into it and show some love to these resilient reptiles that call Australia home. Alrighty, we are inside, we're set up, and I've got Trico watching over my shoulder. He is just here on his stump, wondering what's going on. What is my dad babbling on about? Nonsense as usual. Anyway, let's get stuck into it. So, these are 5 of my favorite rescues for the year, but I've also, on purpose, I've mostly chosen ones which got very few views on the channel. Hopefully you guys may not have seen the majority of these clips. There were some brilliant rescues that I was extremely proud of, so I am very much looking forward to showing you guys them now. First off, we have this huge red-bellied black snake. To this day, this is still one of the biggest, if not the biggest red-bellied black snake I've not only rescued, but actually have the pleasure of seeing. This was a local snake. This was a snake out in the Hawkesbury, and it had fallen down this pit. This was going to be a pier for a shed to be poured that day. Luckily enough, the property owner looked in that hole just before the concrete was poured in, and there was a big red-bellied black snake there. You wouldn't believe it. Thankfully enough, I was just able to reach far enough down that I could get him with my hook and I could just slowly scoop him up and grab him. Now we don't actually know how long he was down there for, whether it was 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, but luckily enough the hole was deep enough that the sun wasn't actually coming into the hole. He potentially would have cooked in there, having no escape from the sun, but he was in his nice cool hole, so he was safe that way. Now these people's property backed on a beautiful Cumberland Plain bushland, so we did not have to worry about a release site. We literally walked out the gate, back into the bush where he originally would have come from. Now, this is where it gets exciting. Wait until you see the size of this red-bellied black snake when I pull him out of the bag. And there he is, what a monster. He is thick and chunky, robust and just so healthy. He's almost like a python. And look at him, he's moving around. He flattens out that neck, trying to warn me off. He was a stunning snake. And you wait till I drop this guy and release him. He literally makes a thud on the ground. He is that much of a weapon. And away he goes. Look at him traverse through the habitat like that. What a magnificent animal and a magnificent feeling. Releases like that are the absolute best. We cannot take snakes away from their home range. So when you can literally release them next door to where they'll come from, there's no worries for me, no worries for the snake. There's absolutely no better outcome than that. Moving on to number 4 for the year. So this snake actually wasn't Trico's up the top now. This wasn't a rescue per se, it was more of a catch. This snake got me so excited. This call came in winter for a death adder and another local animal about 15 minutes from me. You can bet how excited I was to get up there. Now I just added this in because this is just a stunning snake. I was in awe of this animal, the colors, the size, and yeah, I can't wait to show you guys. This homeowner walked out their back door just to water the plants and got a little bit of a fright as this death adder was wrapped around one of the pots and then quickly ducked behind them. So normally these guys are pretty easy. You can just sort of scoop them up into the bag, but he was very jolty, very jumpy when I was trying to get him. Now these are the #1 fastest striking snake in the world, so we do need to be very careful. Don't want to tail these snakes. You literally just want to scoop them with your hook, put them in the bag, and that's exactly what we do. Not without having a look at those beautiful colors first. Again, these people lived in beautiful habitat, foot of the Blue Mountains with a fire trail at the end of their road. So again, I'm only moving this snake a couple 100 meters from where it's from, back to where he belongs before he got lost up at someone's back door. Still to this day, I have not seen a death adder with such vivid colors. You wouldn't believe it, I've seen, I think, 4 red death adders and 0 gray death adders. Everyone wants to see the red ones, I want to see a grey one. But this was a phenomenal animal. Obviously had to get a few pics and clips of him. And you'll see here as I move him up to the GoPro, there's probably still a mark on the GoPro now. He lashes out. He bites the GoPro and leaves venom all over it. After doing that, I really wanted to leave him alone because I was obviously bugging him. I found this beautiful hollow log which I thought he could crawl into a nice safe place until I got out of there. He could either slither out when I was gone or wait until the night when he's safe under cover. But there he was in his log, and what an incredible, incredible snake. Still to be beaten to this day, I believe. Moving on to number 3. You guys know the go. One of my favourite animals, if not my favourite animal, the big bad lace monitor. Exactly what Trico is right behind me, except 1,000 times the size. Now you wouldn't believe it, this big adult lace monitor was run over by a car about 5 minutes up the road from me. The person left it there to die. They didn't ring anyone, they didn't move it off the road, they didn't even stop. Luckily enough, the person behind them rang me straight up and said, look, there's a lace monitor, come and get it. So I flew straight up there. It's just, guys, you cannot do that. Like, how can... The thing was huge. Your car would have got airborne. Like, there's absolutely no excuse to leave it on the road. But thankfully, I was able to get there before it was run over again. And look how flat he is there. He's laying there, arms beside him, tongue out, which was a big worry. We can't have any damage to his tongue. If that tongue's damaged, he'll lose his sense of direction, sense of sight, sense of smell. That was a big worry. I chucked him on the floor of my car as I didn't have a box in. I just headed straight up. And I quickly ducked home, rang the vet, booked in for an appointment, and we got him straight in for an x-ray. We did the x-ray. You can see him there being very well behaved, and there was nothing major showing up. There was no fractured skull, no fractured arms, legs, body, spine, anything like that. So I took him home. And you wouldn't believe, about 2 hours after he was run over, he's back at home, and look at this. He's already up. He's up and moving around, huffing and puffing, being the big bad lace monitor that he is. It's just incredible how resilient these guys are and how quickly they can turn around. So this is where I start to see, okay, this guy has a real chance at recovery. He's gonna do fine, so we're gonna give him a good shot here. So he's even moving around, he's so aware of me, he knows what's going on. We'll put him back in the box, give him a bit of a rest for the rest of the day. About 4 hours later, I hear all this scratching in the box. I'm like, let's get him back out and have another look at him. And you won't believe this. 4 hours later, this lizard is up. He's walking. The tongue is flicking. It's like nothing even happened. Everything's working. Arms, legs, neck, head. He's a little bit on a tilt, but he's going and nothing's stopping him. It's just honestly incredible. These have to be the strongest animal in Australia, if not the world. Goannas and monitor lizards, they are just indestructible. Now, the one last thing I wanted to ensure was there's no internal injuries going on. So I kept him for about a week or so, made sure he could eat, drink, shit, make sure that was all working. Of course it was. He's a lace monitor. So I had the pleasure of catching him out of the enclosure, putting him in the box and taking him back home, which was 5 minutes up the road, even better. Now, his home is a beautiful piece of bushland, Cumberland bushland, which I frequent quite often. I see lace monitors in there quite often. I know where they are, where the hollow trees are. So we went straight to a big hollow tree, had a big hollow up the middle and also hollows up on the branches. And it took a little bit of convincing to get him out of his comfy box, but eventually he shoots up the tree and straight into that hollow. You can see the legs, the arms pumping, the tongue flicking. You wouldn't even know that this lizard had any dramas, let alone being run over by a car a week ago. Honestly, incredible. And away he goes, up into the tree. Now, doesn't that just blow your mind, guys? If you hit any wildlife, ring someone, ring a snake catcher, or ring your local rescue organisation, put it in the car and take it to the vet. You just can't leave things on the road. You wouldn't leave a child if you run it over. What's the difference? A life is a life. Now, we're moving on to number 2. We're getting to the pointy end now, and we have another red-bellied black snake. This red-bellied black snake is not only a victim of sticky tape, but it's also a victim of land development. This red-bellied black snake had its land destroyed and apartment block put on top. He ended up 3 floors down underground in an underground car park, stuck in this sticky tape. He was so incredibly stuck to it. It was lucky someone actually went in there to try and get something. He could have been in there for multiple days, we just don't know. So the safest option here and easiest for me and the snake was to just cut the cardboard away, bag him up, take him home where I could work on him safely with all of the things I needed. So once I got him home, I got our canola oil cooking spray, and you sort of spray that all over him. You can use a Q-tip, a cotton bud, you can use anything, and you just sort of slowly rub it on the tape, on the snake, and that slowly eats away all the stickiness. I'll emphasize slowly. If you pull too fast and hard, you'll rip the scales off the snake. This honestly probably took an hour. Myself and the snake were getting quite exhausted. You can see he's really calm. Whether he knew I was helping him, probably not, or he was just tired, we'll never know. And I'm working away. He's getting a little bit more free and a lot more slippery. Eventually we get the remainder of the tape off with very little damage. A few of the scales have lost their shiny gloss and they're more of a matte, but all in all, this snake was out. I chuck him in the water to try and get some oil off. I don't know how well it worked, but then I bagged him back up and I think he was able to sort of move around in the bag, get a lot of that oil off in the bag. Now for release. This snake obviously wasn't going back where he came from because it was a construction site. There was a reserve with a creek system just a few blocks away, which was going to be the perfect untouched habitat for this snake. This is remaining parklands. You can't get rid of creeks, so this is going to be the perfect release site for this snake. And there he is. He's still grateful. He was my mate. I could put 2 hands on him, play with him. I probably could have kissed him. Not a good idea. He was a fantastic little red belly that I was so fulfilled and over the moon being able to save that guy. A second lease on life. And look at that, disappearing around the dam there. No better feeling than that, guys. Alrighty, now for our number 1 rescue of 2024. Let's get stuck into it. Now, what would a reptile countdown be without Australia's deadliest snake, the 2nd most venomous snake in the world, the eastern brown snake? Of course, this had to take out our number 1 spot. This is one of my proudest rescue and rehabilitations I've ever been involved with and been able to carry out. No one watched this video. It got like 150 views or something abysmal. Very disappointing. But have a look at this. This eastern brown snake was entangled in netting, so deeply entangled. When I arrived, it was almost like it was dead. There was 0 life in it. I never filmed it. I took a few pictures because he was lifeless. You can see how tight the netting is wrapped around his head. And I could even hold his head once he was out and he just wasn't moving. Of course, I took him home and gave him a chance and whatnot. Again, I still don't have many clips, so I didn't know how he was going. As the hours went by, he became more and more lively, and after a couple of days, he was like a completely fine snake, other than these deep gouges. He'd been essentially degloved in 3 parts of his body, with 1 part being the worst. We did 2 weeks worth of antibiotic injections just because so much skin was missing. He was so prone to infection. So that reduced the risk of that. We did baths to keep it clean. And then from there on in, it's just time. Time with the right husbandry, UV lights, heating, food to get this snake what it needed. This next clip here was a couple months in. The snake was starting to look really good and I noticed it was going to shed, so I was so curious at how it was going to come out of the shed. And unfortunately, you can see as he shedded, the injury was smaller than normal as it had healed to some degree, but it took that fresh layer of skin straight off with the shed. You just can't release an animal like that. It would just be infected, it would rip more scales off, it would be certain death. This guy ended up staying with us for the winter. All in all, he was with us for 12 months. So this is the next clip here. You can see how much smaller that injury is. It's healed over, the scales have pulled together, and there's no bright pink flesh. There's a little bit of pink flesh left, but nothing like in the last clip. This snake is doing fantastically well, and Honestly, this animal's recovery is something that can be taught to anybody watching, any other animal rehabilitators, and for future snakes that come in with similar injuries, we know that they can recover. Now here I am hydrating the snake not long before he's able to be released. You can see how much he's healed up now. And isn't he a beautiful snake? Look at the color on the head and the striping on the body. That snake is pretty well ready to go. From here, it was exactly 12 months to the day I had this snake in care, and he's ready for release. And since I've got so many new people here, and this video got 200 or so views, I'm just gonna play the entirety of this release clip. It's super interesting. Hopefully you can learn something. I'll probably learn something again from watching it, and I'll see you guys at the end of this clip. Hopefully we can get him to stick around, say g'day, and we can have a good look at him. Hopefully we can have a quick look at the injuries before we send him off to freedom. He's a good sized snake. He has had the heat on him this morning, but it's a little bit cooler now, so he might not be too fiery. There he is. Absolutely gorgeous eastern brown snake. You can see the stripes in him. You can see how some people would mistake him as a tiger snake. You've also got the underbelly, the yellow with the red patterning underneath is a dead giveaway for eastern brown snakes. Hopefully you can see right now those injuries, now that we're out in the sun, how well they've healed up, and he's gonna traverse through this landscape, through the bush, rocks, creeks, catching more rodents, more frogs, and that's not gonna cause him any problems. So look at that. Eastern brown snake. Alrighty, home time for our friend. And you'll see as soon as I let him go, he's not gonna want any piece of me. He's just gonna disappear off into the scrub. Even if I stay still, he'll probably just traverse. And away he goes. Freedom. And just like that, you can see how they just disappear. How easily they move. You can see I'm following this snake. People say they get chased by eastern brown snakes. I'm following it. He's running away from me. If I get a little too close, we'll see once he's back out in the open. I'll get a little closer and see if he'll do his defensive pose. If I go like, no, this one isn't even being defensive at all. It's not striking at me. It's not chasing me. He's holding that neck up to try and look tough, trying to show me he's boss. Because he is boss, he can do a lot of damage to me. But he doesn't want to. He's free, he's happy, he's healthy. I do want him to, there we go. There's a little S up, there we are. So that's the only reason. That's when people say they're chasing you. If you get too close, if this snake was cornered in the corner of a building, it would S up, tell you to go away, and that's the way they do it. Just like that, with that mouth open, come up towards you. His only intention is to literally get away from me. He does not want to bite me. He doesn't want to bar of me. It's all just warning. It's all just warning strikes. And there you go. It is just pure defense. These snakes will not attack you. They will not come at you. They will not chase you. All he's done now, he's done his little defensive dance until I've moved back. And now that he's taken the chance, he's disappeared into this grassy plant here. And with that coloration, those browns and yellow stripes, he disappears. You would not know he was in there. You can just see his scales in there and you would never, ever know. And you know what? That might be his place. He's been in an enclosure for the last 12 months. This is going to be his place to relax, find his feet, work out where and what he wants to do, and go on. And we'll leave him with that, eh? And how about that, guys? How incredible is that? How phenomenal is that? That's just blows your mind what our Australian reptiles can endure and recover from. But all in all, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that was a good variety of animals, good variety of injuries, a good variety of video, I don't know. But yeah, I hope you guys had a good 2024 as we go into 2025 tonight. I wish everybody the best. I want everyone to have a fantastic night, and we're gonna see what's in store for next year. We'll keep the channel going. Again, I can't thank you guys enough for your continued support. Thanks to you guys, you'll keep pushing me through. You'll get me and the animals through 2025, and we can continue together as the years go on. I honestly do not take the support from you guys lightly or for granted. I can't wait to continue to grow our love and education for wildlife together into the future years. Alrighty, so get off this video, guys. It's time to go out and party. Happy New Year and enjoy 2025. I'll see you next week.